No, 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 no! This is a disaster! A feather emergency! A total gasp! A total fluff fail! Look at this. My left wing feather. The swoopy one. It's all crumpled. Crumpled! I look like a dandelion after a thunderstorm. What if someone sees me like this? What if Captain Suhail sees me like this? What if I fly sideways and crash into a minaret and become the laughingstock of the entire Hejaz? What if they name a weather pattern after my nosedive? Incoming mild to moderate Zaki breeze over Makkah. It's fine. It's fine. No big deal. I'll just hide in this tree for the rest of my life. Alone, featherless, forgotten. Maybe I'll start a new life as a mysterious jungle recluse. Call me the Beakless Wonder.
You done preening, Fluffstorm, or should I fetch you a mirror and a monologue?
Captain Suhail, be honest. Do I look unswoopy?
You look like a pillow after a pillow fight, but a noble one.
Then it's true. No one will ever admire me again. No one will ever say, there goes Zaki, the dependable, trustworthy, emotionally stable hoopoe.
Was anyone saying that before?
No, but they might have.
You want admiration, lad? Try being honest, steady, like a lighthouse in a storm. Or, like him.
Him? You mean the prophet?
He didn't win hearts with fluff. He earned them with trust.
Maybe I need to hear that story again.
Then you're in luck, Featherbrain. It's a good one.
Mirage Digital presents The Amazing Stories with Zaki the Hoopoe. Season 2, Episode 8, The Marriage of the Prophet and Khadijah. Salam, my dazzling desert explorers. It's me, Zaki the Hoopoe, fluffier than ever and ready to flap into another amazing story. You ever have one of those days where your feathers won't lie flat and you wonder, am I even worthy of admiration? Of friendship? Of snacks? I had one of those days this morning. I may or may not have declared myself unlovable because of a crumpled wing feather. And Captain Suhail may or may not have compared me to a pillow after a pillow fight.
A noble pillow.
A noble pillow. Yes, thanks, Captain Suhail. That makes all the difference. But you know what I realized? The people we admire most, like the Prophet Muhammad, didn't earn love and respect because of perfect feathers or flash. It was their character, their honesty, their trustworthiness. Which brings us to today's tale, the story of a partnership built on trust, respect, and divine purpose. The story of how our beloved prophet married the incredible Lady Khadijah, an epic love story that started, not with hearts and flowers, but with integrity and trade caravans.
Sounds romantic already. Camels, contracts, and mutual admiration.
Oh, don't you worry, Captain Suhail. This one's got everything. Camels, coins, a courageous businesswoman, and a man whose honesty changed the world. So grab your date snacks, snuggle into your comfiest cloud, and come with me as we fly back to a time when trust was the treasure and love was the reward. Ah, Makkah, the city of winding alleys, sun-baked stone, and the smell of cardamom and camel leather in the air. Oh, I can still smell the roasted almonds from the market. Delicious.
I smelled mostly camel breath and overripe dates, but to each his own.
Every day the streets buzzed with traders haggling, kids chasing each other with fig peels, and caravans arriving from as far as Syria and Yemen, loaded with silks, spices, and stories. Makkah was the beating heart of the desert's trade. And right in the center of it all, Khadijah, a woman of immense strength, intelligence, and grace, a merchant unlike any other. She owned businesses. She made deals with empires. And get this, half the market worked for her.
Sounds like she could have bought the whole coastline if she wanted.
If she had, you'd be the first seagull paying rent.
Feathers taxed. What a world.
But you know what really set Khadijah apart? She was honorable. She never cheated a merchant. She never underpaid a worker. And while everyone else was playing camel chess with trade routes, Khadijah was doing something far more impressive: building trust. Now, one day, she starts hearing the same name come up over and over. One man said, "That young man, Muhammad, never lies, carried a basket of silver all the way to Tarif and came back with every coin accounted for."
And another one said, "He helped an old man carry his dates after finishing his own delivery, said it was the right thing to do."
"That's right, Captain! Way to get in on it!"
If that lad were any more honest, the dates would have confessed their price first.
The name Muhammad ibn Abdullah was already glowing in the city. Kind, just, gentle, and yet firm in principle. A man who kept his promises like others kept their swords, close and sharp. So what did Khadijah do? She offered him the lead on her most important trade caravan to Syria. That was no small journey. Dust storms, mountain passes, tricky markets, not to mention camel tantrums.
Don't remind me of the Syrian mountain camels. They bite with judgment in their eyes.
But Muhammad accepted, and off he went, with Khadijah's trust in his hands and her servant Maysara riding alongside to observe the journey. When he returned weeks later, he had tripled the profits. Maysara couldn't stop praising him. He said Muhammad didn't argue, didn't cheat, and even when merchants tried to trick him, he dealt with them kindly and walked away wiser. And every night, he prayed under the stars instead of gossiping with the guards. He was focused, present, and grateful to Allah.
Sounds like a man who knew his compass, true north and all.
And Khadijah, she noticed, not just the honesty, not just the success, but the heart behind it all. His manners, his mercy, his deep, quiet strength. She thought, she prayed, and then, courageously, wisely, she sent a proposal of marriage. And guess what? He said yes. It wasn't a love born of looks or laughter. It was born of trust, of shared values, a partnership written not in poetry, but in honesty. You know, when I think about someone like the Prophet Muhammad, kind, brave, honest, I start to wonder, what if I'm just a silly, awkward hoopoe? What if I'll never be someone people look up to? Who would marry someone like me? I spiral when my feathers bend the wrong way.
You also once cried because a squirrel didn't invite you to its birthday party.
It had streamers, Captain Suhail, streamers I RSVP'd with a pine cone and everything. What if I'm just doomed to be the funny sidekick forever? No one's noble partner, just the bird with anxious wing energy. Maybe I need a new name. Zaki the Unlovable. No, Zaki the Background Feather. Wait, Zaki the fifth wheel flapper of Makkah.
Oh, for the love of fish bones. Lad, if your self-worth deflates any further, I'll need to anchor you with a sandbag.
But what if I'm not enough, Captain Suhail? What if people only love heroes, the bold, the brave, the effortlessly handsome types with chiseled beaks?
Then you haven't been listening to your own story.
Huh?
Khadijah didn't fall for a warrior or a poet. She chose the man who returned every coin, helped the elderly, and stayed humble when the world bowed at his feet.
Because he was trustworthy, not flashy.
Exactly. Love doesn't come from being loud or legendary. It comes from character, steady hearts, quiet truth.
Maybe I don't need to flap louder. Maybe I just need to keep showing up. Keep being kind and honest, even when no one's watching.
There's the hoopoe, I know.
Maybe I'm not so unlovable after all, just uncrumpled in progress. Okay, let's finish the story. I think I'm finally listening. So, Khadijah sent the proposal, and Prophet Muhammad, he said yes. But here's what's amazing, my friends. They didn't fall in love because of sparkles or songs or anything like that. It wasn't like a fairy tale where someone rides in on a unicorn made of glitter. Nope.
Thank goodness. Glitter's hard to clean off feathers.
They chose each other because they trusted one another. They saw goodness in each other. That's what real love is. It's not loud. It's not shiny. It's quiet, like the sound of someone holding your hand when you're scared, or whispering, "I believe in you," when you feel small. Do you know what Khadijah saw in the prophet? She saw someone who was always honest, someone who didn't just say nice things. He did nice things, even when no one was watching. And you know what he saw in her? A woman who was smart and strong, but also gentle and fair. Someone who used her success to help others. Someone who believed in him. That's what makes a good team. You don't have to be the same, but you have to be kind. You have to listen. You have to take care of each other's hearts. Imagine planting a tiny seed in the ground. You water it. You give it sunshine. You talk to it with love. Grow, little plant, grow. And slowly, day by day, it becomes something beautiful. That's what love is like. You don't just have it. You grow it by being gentle and truthful and patient. That's what the prophet and Khadijah did. And maybe that means I don't need to change who I am to be loved. I don't need to be the shiniest or the smartest or the most dramatic bird on the branch.
Though dramatic, you most certainly are.
I know. But maybe just being good is enough. Maybe showing up, being kind, and being real is the most lovable thing of all. That's what the prophet taught us. With his heart, with his trust, and with the way he loved. And that, my friends, is something we can all do, even if we've got a crooked feather or two. So, my little stars, what did we learn from the story of the Prophet Muhammad and Lady Khadijah? We learned that real love doesn't come from looking fancy, or being the loudest in the room, or winning the most games. Nope. It comes from trust, from being honest, from showing kindness, even when no one else is watching. You know when you help your little brother clean up without being asked, or when you tell the truth, even if it might get you in a tiny bit of trouble. That's being trustworthy. That's what makes you lovable. Khadijah saw that in the prophet, and he saw it in her. That's why their love was so strong. They helped each other, believed in each other, and stood side by side, like teammates, like best friends. So if you ever feel like you're not enough, remember this. You don't need to be the best at everything. You just need to be good at being you, being honest, kind, and true to your heart. That's the kind of person the prophet was, and that's the kind of love that lasts forever. And that's our story today, my amazing friends. The Prophet Muhammad and Lady Khadijah showed us that love isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest, kind, and true. Their marriage was like a lantern in the dark, shining with trust and respect, and guiding so many others to goodness. And next time, I cannot wait to tell you this one. It's about the birth of someone very special, someone who was born inside the Kaaba. Can you believe it? And the prophet helped raise him.
Raised by a prophet, born in a sanctuary. That's no ordinary chick.
Not a chick at all, Captain Suhail. He grew up to be brave, wise, and one of the prophet's closest companions. Ooh, it's going to be a big one, filled with heart, heroism, and maybe a sword or two.
Swords? Count me in. Just don't let Zaki near anything pointy. He once got tangled in a ribbon.
It was very aggressive ribbon. Until then, my wonderful listeners, keep being kind, keep being honest, and always remember, your heart is the most lovable part of you.
Even if your feathers are a bit lopsided.
I knew you noticed. Bye-bye for now, and I'll see you next time for the birth of a lion-hearted boy who changed the world.
Hopefully without a ribbon.
This story was produced by Mirage Digital. Voices provided by Wayne Holland as Zaki and Curtis Fletcher as Captain Suhail. Episode written, directed, and edited by Syed Kashef and Atef Hussain. For more content by Mirage Digital, please visit our site at www.mirage.digital.
Content copyright and production copyright 2025 by Mirage Digital.